Hey ladies, I'm back. I am so sorry, it has been such a very long time since I've updated, but life has just gotten away from me these last few months. I can't believe how fast they have gone by. Sawyer today is almost exactly 9 months old. He'll be 9 months old in just a few weeks. And you guys haven't gotten an update since like December, I believe. It's been a long time, and I'm really, really sorry. But this has just been the craziest few months. If you guys remember from my last video, Brian was going to have surgery at the end of January, and he did have that surgery, but that last month was really bad. He was in a lot of pain. So it feels like just as I was getting Sawyer healthy and in good shape, Brian's health really quickly started to decline. So then we all got sick. It was crazy. Christmas, our whole house got not food poisoning, but like a stomach flu. So Christmas Eve, I spent the entire night throwing up. So it was super awful. Sawyer got a really mild case of it, but the rest of us were miserable. So this Christmas was not fun. But he's getting huge. He is now 19 pounds. I'm not sure how tall he is, but he's still pretty short of stature. His arms and legs are still a little tiny, even though his torso seems to be pretty on point for his age. So much has happened, so I'm actually going to insert a few clips and a few pictures so you guys can basically get caught up on the last 4 months of his life. I'm really, sorry that I've completely fallen off of this channel. But again, just getting Brian back to health. He was in the hospital for a lot longer than we thought that he was going to be. So it was basically like single mom life for a while there. It was really rough. But yeah, so much has happened. Sawyer, I mean, babies change so quickly already, but I feel so bad because you guys have missed so much of it, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are curious, or I assume you're curious if you guys are still here watching. So, I have notes so that I can remember where to insert, pictures and stuff for you guys. Right now, you may wonder where I'm filming, and this is actually Sawyer's room. This was, we had our two daughters in two separate rooms, and then we decided that at 6 months old, Sawyer was doing this super irritating thing in his bed where he was still in like the pack and play with the raised up thing at the end of our bed, but he was rubbing his nails when he got them along that little mesh cloth thing. If I remember, I'll insert a clip here. But he was doing that, and it was really disconcerting in the middle of the night, you waking up and hearing this creepy noise. But yeah, so he was doing that, and so that was my breaking point. I was like, Brian, he's got to go into his own room. He has to. And being that we're still feeding Sawyer at night and feeding him really early in the morning, because he's eating about every 4 hours, but not through the night, it was just really hard to finagle him in Drew's room, so we just decided to finally bite the bullet, put both girls in the big room, and then Sawyer would get this tiny room. But this room was a bright bubblegum pink. I can insert a picture here. And now it's this, like, you know, I don't know, Swiss mocha, I think is the actual shade of it. So yeah, so it is going to actually have stripes on one of the walls, so it's kind of boring and nothing's hung up, and there's, I mean, still his like light sockets and stuff. His room is a disaster zone, so it's making it really hard to like parent in here. The biggest, many big things happened. Sawyer has just been changing and growing. He's such a different baby than he was at, 5.5, 6 months old. It's just insane to me that I knew it was going to happen quickly. I guess I wasn't quite expecting it to happen this quickly. He's actually sleeping right now, or I would have put him in the video with me, but it's really hard to keep him still for that long now. He's kind of a mover and a shaker as it is now. But I wanted to tell you guys that he flipped over for the first time in January, at the end of January. So he was 7 months old. Yeah, by the end of January, he was 7 months old. So we were really excited, and I'm going to insert a clip here of the day that my mom sent me, because she was watching him at the time, and of like the third time that he's done it. There he goes. Good job, Sawyer James. Yay! So yeah, that was Sawyer flipping over, and we were so proud of him. And now we just can't keep him in one spot. Like, that's his changing table. There's no way I can leave him there alone now. We put him on the floor, and he just flip, 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 flip. You know, he's just never stays on the blanket, so we put him on. But I'm really greatly happy that he is developing so well. And so he also had this really lovely habit that he had just been starting to do, I think, at Christmas. And then he was doing it all the time to everyone, always. And I'll insert a clip of that here. He was, as you guys can see, doing that all the time. Doing that spitting raspberry thing, which is charming when he does it occasionally, but then he's doing it all the time for like a month and a half. He would never stop doing this thing. He's like, look at this cool trick that I've learned. Oh my gosh. And it's cute at first, and then it's like you're spitting at these strange people in the middle of, you know, like the grocery store. So luckily he's moved past that habit, and he is no longer spitting at people all the time. He doesn't even really do that. His newest thing is that I don't have a clip or anything of is like he starts going and he'll hold his hand to it and go and then like if you start just going against his lips, then he'll start making the noise. So that's charming, because he doesn't do that all the time. It's just this cute thing that he does every once in a while. At the what happened in February is the biggest thing that happened in that month is that he got his first tooth. We were pretty sure that he was teething. He didn't have a lot of the normal symptoms, though. He wasn't getting like fevers, and he wasn't like drooling a whole bunch. I mean, none of the things that we thought would happen. But then one day my mom was just like rubbing his gums and doing his normal gum exercises to get him over that oral aversion. And she's just the little corner itty bitty tip of his tooth had come out, and I was really sad that I wasn't the one to discover it. She's the one who discovered it. But you know, it was his first tooth, and so it was just the craziest thing. To know my child has teeth. You know, these are the teeth that he's going to have until he starts losing his teeth. He's going to chew food with this, and, you know, all of that. It was just really exciting. And I will insert a picture of it here. But yeah, that tooth is like a shark tooth now. I mean, it's like a full-on like triangle. So I think that he's probably going to end up needing braces at some point in his poor little life, because yeah, that's a sharp tooth. And he's got his second tooth that just got here today or yesterday. It's just broken through the skin just these last few days, and it's just a little tiny nubbin. But it's so cute that he's got 2 teeth now, and it just like, oh, he's getting so old. He's getting so big. It happens so fast. But anyway, moving on. So other things that he's doing right now, he's still not eating, but physically he's developing really, really well. He's almost 9 months, and our regional center representative is actually, she came over to assess him, and he's basically at a typical baby's about six month-ish in some of his skills. So he's doing really well. So he is behind, but nothing that we weren't expecting. He's doing super well. In fact, the regional center is the agency that I've told you guys about that helps out children with special needs throughout California, I believe. Just California. I don't know if they have that everywhere, but they are actually arguing and pushing back with our like our main facilitator, Kathy, because they don't want to assist us as much because Sawyer is so high functioning. Which is great that he's doing so well, but also hard because they're pushing back on it, on giving us assistance and helping out with different things because he's doing so well. But he still is not eating by mouth, and he still is on oxygen at night. There are still things that he does. He still has needs that need to be met. So luckily, we have this great advocate, and she's working really hard for us, and she's just being our pit bull out there and trying to make sure that Sawyer gets all of the things that he needs and all the assistance that he needs. Sawyer's favorite toys right now, he is not sitting up unassisted. He does sit up really well, usually in the bumbo or in between our legs, like if he has, if he has our legs to like fall into. We're trying to work on him putting his hand flat when he to catch himself when he falls, because that's a learned skill that he needs to learn. But yeah, he also has this short table. I'll insert a picture of it so you guys can get a better visual. That table, it did have really long legs, and he was bending over and playing with the toys in front of him, and then we shortened the legs so he's bending over even more and working on that core strength of having to lift himself up and reach down for the toys, and it's just working really well to help develop all the things that he needs. And I'd love to do like a separate video about all the different tools and techniques that we're learning to help him really grow and benefit him, all the toys that we're using and the different activities that we do and stuff, to try to get him to keep learning and keep growing. Yeah, I'd love to do that. So tell me if you guys are interested. I don't know. I'll probably still put it out there eventually. And we were having that trouble for a long time because he was moving out of the baby stage and moving into this toddler-ish stage or older baby stage, where I was finding a really hard time finding where to feed him because he was getting bored sitting in that swing. But he wasn't quite ready for the high chair. It was just this really odd middle ground, and where do you put him, and you have to get him to sit, and because he's still being fed with his G-tube, and so it was really hard to struggle in those few months. Luckily, he's moved past that. Starting the beginning of March, we did actually start putting him in the high chair, just as kind of an experiment. Actually, Kathy was like, you know what, next time you feed him, if you think about it, maybe you should think about putting him in his high chair, just in case, because we were still feeding him in the swing, but he was getting so bored. We were hanging toys like his favorite zebra and stuff. He still loves that zebra. We have it hanging from his stroller, his car seat that is in the stroller, and he still loves that, but it was still so hard to keep him distracted for the 30 minutes it was taking for him to eat. Now we've actually got it down a few more. I think it only takes just over 20 minutes for him to eat. But he's now fully in the high chair, and we just put him in there one day, and it was like that was where he was meant to be. He was sitting up. We had the chair fully upright, and he was reaching for all the toys that we were putting in front of him, and it was crazy. It was just like, this is where he should have been all along. So, that was great. I'm sorry, the light's kind of getting weird in here. It's shadowy over here. So, I'm sorry about that, guys. But yeah. So, he's now fully sitting in his high chair and eating like a big boy. And, I will insert a picture of that so you guys can see that and how proud I am of him. But yeah, so that's Sawyer's life right now. I mean, he's getting so much better at a whole bunch of different things, and it's just crazy. As far as eating goes, we are making some headway. It's very slow going. It is a very slow process. We're still seeing a feeding therapist. I'm not having a lot of faith in their methods, so we're actually working with our Kathy, our regional center rep, to try to maybe locate a different one. But it's hard to find in the Bay Area. They're not abundant, and Kaiser only covers certain providers, so we kind of have to find that middle ground where we find that perfect provider that Kaiser covers, but also is really skilled and good at what they do. So Sawyer for the first time, I gave him a waffle, just a piece of a waffle, and he was putting it to his mouth and kind of gnawing on it. He is not swallowing. Like if any pieces break off, he does immediately, and they roll down his, chin, but he doesn't choke or gag. He just gets it out of his mouth all on his own, and because he doesn't let it get far enough back to choke him, and he just spits it out. And so I dipped it in syrup, and Brian's like, don't give it to him with syrup, and Sawyer went to town on that waffle. He was gnawing on it and, basically just gumming it. I mean, he wasn't really getting any food in his mouth, but he must have been swallowing. He was tasting the syrup, and we've since moved on to giving him they're like little pacifiers that click open that are mesh bags on the top, and you can put like fruits in them and stuff. So we're putting pineapples in there because the feeding therapist also said that babies tend to like bolder flavors when they have oral aversions. It gets their attention more than like, say, like we tried to give him cantaloupe and he was not interested. It was just too mild, I think. But the pineapple, he just takes those little things and gnaws on them until they're like mush. So, I mean, he must be swallowing that. I've heard him swallow. So I know that he can do it. It's just maybe the little mesh pouch makes him feel more protected, like nothing's like running down his throat. But he's still very much using, this just happens to be sitting here, his teething toy. It's his favorite one. This is the brand, I'm not quite sure. Newbie. And he loves this thing. He loves to chew on this side. He loves to chew on the little gummy side. We haven't made it cold because he doesn't seem to prefer cold things. And his toys that are all mesh like this or whatever material, this is like a rubber. He has a football like this and an elephant that has a back like this. He loves these toys. They're like his favorites. And he loves anything that lights up. He's got a stuffed dog that blinks and sings to him. He's got the piano, that stuff that, plays that he loves. But yeah, so all of those things, he's just loves lights that blink. We finally got him a suction cup toy for his high chair that kind of looks like a Ferris wheel. The top of it twirls. It's really awesome. My mom got it for him, and apparently she got another one because that one was such a hit. And you twirl it and it sings and it lights up, and he just loves it. And he still loves this big toy that I have. I don't have any pictures of it, or I would insert them, but maybe next video I'll show you guys, because it's a really great toy for when babies are on their belly and stuff. It's like a big round ball and the center spins and stuff. It's got a mirror on it and a little tiny wind up singy toy, but it's super awesome. And oh my gosh, this video is so long. I'm so sorry guys, but this has been 3 months. So sorry I'm like all crazy haired and this video was so long and the filming area is a mess, but I wanted to tell you guys all the great things that are happening. So I hope this answers any questions that are up there. I'm so sorry it took so long. I might have to upload this in 2 parts. We'll see. We'll see how YouTube treats me. All right, ladies. So I will be talking to you. I promise, not in 3 months. I promise that it will happen in a month. I promise. Maybe a couple weeks. I'm not sure. Maybe next week. Who knows? But it definitely will not be 3 months. So, I'll be talking to you, and thanks for watching. Bye, ladies.